Someone just broke your trust. They looked you dead in the eye and said 3 words, "I'm sorry," and somehow it made everything worse, because here's the truth nobody talks about. "I'm sorry" is not a magic spell. It doesn't automatically erase damage, and in the wrong hands, it actually deepens the wound. Take the phrase, "I'm sorry you felt that way." 7 words. Sounds like an apology. Feels like a gut punch, because it's not an apology at all. It's a disguised attack, a blame shift wrapped in sympathy clothing. Today, I'm going to break down the exact anatomy of an apology that actually works. The neuroscience of forgiveness. And why most people, maybe even you, have been apologizing wrong your entire life. Let's start with the fake apology. The one we've all received. The one we've probably all given. "I'm sorry you took it that way. I apologize if you were offended. Mistakes were made." Notice the pattern? In every single one, the speaker removes themselves from the damage. "You took it that way" means it's your fault for misinterpreting. "If you were offended" means it's your fault for being sensitive. "Mistakes were made" means it was done by nobody, by the void. Psychologist Harriet Lerner calls this the non-apology apology. And research from the University of Queensland found that receiving a bad apology can actually make the victim feel worse than receiving no apology at all. Think about that. No apology is better than a fake one, because a fake apology doesn't just fail to heal. It gaslights. It tells the hurt person that their pain is the problem, not your actions. And here is the cruel irony. The person giving the fake apology often believes they're being conciliatory. They're saying the words. They're making the gesture. Why isn't it working? Because they skip the only step that matters. To understand why bad apologies fail, we need to look at what happens in the brain during a perceived apology. When you've been wronged, your amygdala, the brain's threat detector, is on high alert. It's scanning for danger, scanning for signs that this person will hurt you again. A bad apology doesn't turn off that alarm. It cranks it up, but a genuine apology triggers a cascade of neurological changes that neuroscientists are only beginning to map. In a landmark study on forgiveness, researchers found that when participants received a sincere apology, brain activity shifted from the amygdala, which handles fear and threat, to the prefrontal cortex, which handles reasoning, empathy, and social processing. The apology literally rewired the brain's threat response. But here is the critical detail. This shift only happened when the apology contained 3 specific psychological components. Miss any one, and the amygdala stays lit. Component 1 is acknowledgment. Not, "I'm sorry you feel bad, but I see exactly what I did. I see how it hurt you. I see the specific damage." This is about narrative alignment. The offender must demonstrate they understand the victim's story, not their own version, not a minimized version, the victim's version in their own words. Without this, the victim feels invisible. Their experience is denied. Component 2 is responsibility. This is where most apologies die. "I was stressed. I didn't mean to. I was having a bad day." These aren't explanations. They're excuses disguised as context. And every excuse tells the victim that your reasons matter more than their pain. True responsibility sounds like this: "I did this. It was wrong." There is no justification. Research from the University of Illinois found that apologies containing the word but were rated as significantly less sincere. That one word, 3 letters, can collapse an entire apology. Component 3 is restitution. This is the step almost everyone skips, and it's the one that separates hollow words from genuine repair. Restitution means asking, "What are you going to do to make this right?" Sometimes it's material, like replacing what was broken. Sometimes it's behavioral, showing through consistent action that you've changed. Sometimes it's simply asking, "What do you need from me?" Without restitution, an apology is just a performance. Words in the wind. The victim is left wondering if it will happen again. And if they wonder that, forgiveness is impossible. But let's go deeper. Because the psychology of apology isn't just about technique. It's about vulnerability. To give a real apology, you have to accept something terrifying. You are the villain in someone else's story. Not misunderstood, not justified. The villain. And you have to sit with that discomfort without defending, deflecting, or disappearing. This is why narcissists can't apologize. Not because they don't know how, but because their entire self-concept is built on being the hero. To admit wrongdoing is to risk ego collapse, And it's why so many of us give fake apologies. Because real ones require ego death. Even temporary ego death. You have to let the other person be right about you. You have to let them be angry. You have to let them define the terms of repair. Psychologist Brene Brown calls this rumbling with vulnerability. She says that true accountability requires us to own our story. Even the ugly chapters, there's another layer. 2. Sometimes we apologize not for the other person, but for ourselves. To relieve our own guilt. To get back to comfort. This is what researchers call a self-focused apology. And victims can smell it from a mile away that a real apology is other-focused. It's not about your guilt. It's about their pain. It's not about your redemption. It's about their healing. How do you apologize in a way that actually works? Here is the framework. Step 1. Name the specific harm. Not, I'm sorry for what happened, but I'm sorry I dismissed your idea in the meeting. I see how that undermined you in front of the team. I see how that made you feel invisible. Specificity signals that you actually understand. Generic apologies signal that you just want a conversation to end. Step 2. Take responsibility without conditions. I was wrong. I chose to do this. I hurt you. This is terrifying. Do it anyway. Step 3. Propose repair. Say, here's what I'm going to do differently. Or what do you need from me? Or how can I rebuild your trust? And then this is the hardest part. You wait. You don't demand forgiveness. You don't set a timeline. You accept that the other person may not be ready. That their healing is not yours to control. The words I'm sorry are not a get-out-of-jail-free card. They're the beginning of a much harder conversation. One that requires you to be smaller so the other person can be seen. Most people will go their whole lives giving fake apologies, defensive apologies, self-serving apologies, and they'll wonder why their relationships stay broken. But you don't have to be most people. The next time you need to apologize, ask yourself, am I trying to be right? Or am I trying to repair? Because only one of those answers leads to forgiveness. Apologies aren't about words. They're about courage.